Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers, and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing I was right. Apex Online Racing iRacing GTE League, Season 10, Round 6, here at Mid-Ohio. My name's King-Kodiak, and I'll be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, I'm always happy to say, the man I accidentally tried to kick out of the commentary box last week is Mr. James Clay.
I mean, I hope to be sticking around this week.
Likewise.
Yeah, it should be good fun.
Now, this track is a lesser used track, so it does tend to have a bit of a smaller turnout. We have 31 drivers with us this evening, so let's have a look at who is representing our AM class this evening. We have got 382 is the V3 Racing Ford of Stefan Kamke. We have got 366, the V3 Racing BMW of Merlin Cooper. 318 is the Hyperion Racing Blood Orange Porsche of Cohen Van Eyck. 307 is the Team Cruising Missiles BMW of Michael Pari. 328 is the Raptor Racing Team Red BMW of Daniele Mamano. 370 is the Raptor Racing Team Yellow BMW of Alessandro Portacorvi. 377 is the Team Cruising Missiles BMW of Raimo Cooley. 375 is the Raptor Racing TBA BMW of Jamie Smith, and 346 the Raptor Racing Team Orange Porsche of Luca Lodato. Right, this circuit is not as well known as others. Mr. Clay, what can we expect from it?
A lot of undulating, a lot of elevation change, as actually Luca Lodato was just finding out about that firsthand as he was going over one of the crests, one of the many crests and elevation changes throughout this track. Very unstable settling of the cars. You'll find the rear end getting very twitchy, especially in cars like the Porsche around here. Ford is expected to be very quick, like it has been all season since it's got its performance change, and well, then it's sort of Porsche and BMW fairly even behind it, and Ferrari is kind of an unknown quantity because not many people have decided to pick it up this season.
Indeed. It's a fairly short lap here at Mid-Ohio. We were seeing kind of 118s at the top end of the scale. Oh, Merlin Cooper, that looked a little lively. So with what we just saw from Luca there, is that going to be a common theme? Go over a crest and hope you catch it?
Yes, especially towards the start of the race. Cold tyres are going to be a big issue with that. It takes a while because it's such a short lap to get your tyres up to temperature. So if you're going through all these troughs and peak many times over before your tyres are actually up to temperature, it just makes driving around here very difficult. That's why in qualifying here we'll probably just see drivers try to eke out laps and get their tyres up to temperature. It's thought that you might be able to get 4, maybe even 5 qualifying laps in the allotted time frame you have, which is only about 8 minutes long for all of these drivers.
Oh,
so it shows how short it is. It's only 3.62 kilometers, which is about 600 meters longer than Monaco. that is how short this lap is.
Yeah, Cohen just binned it against the wall. So yeah, it's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. A couple of people yet to get a time on the board. Cohen and Luca being those two of this particular class that have just thrown it into the wall. Raimo Cooley currently that's poleman for the for the AM class with a 122.11. That'll be Stefan Kamke ahead of him. I think, is he the only Ford in this group?
Possibly. I don't think we. I think we don't actually, because Stefan, I believe, is a reserve driver. I don't think we have any main drivers in the AM category anymore that are in Ford, because we had a promotion that meant that Luca Lodato, I think. No, it wasn't Luca Lodato. It was one of his teammates at Raptor got promoted.
Stefan fell off the road as we were looking at him. So this is a tricky one. It reminds me a bit of Phillip Island, just the way that the undulation changes, and a very, very technical twisty track. Oh wow, as one of the BMWs has slammed it into the wall in the background. That would have been, that's Mikko Pari that has done that one. Oh, that was a big incident, as Raimo Cooley is now dipped into the 119s. And 119 treble 8, Jamie Smith gets us the time on the board, so it's just Cohen yet to do so.
It's funny you should say that about Phillip Island, because with the configuration of this track, you don't really expect much overtaking. You don't expect that at Phillip Island either, but somehow on Friday in the F3 League, us lot managed to provide very close racing, even a 0 millisecond gap between the leaders on the line in the sprint race, so anything can happen.
I saw that. Unfortunately, it's a shame I wasn't able to broadcast that one, but through the thousands of a second.
We weren't expecting really anything from it, and then it turned out to just be like, why don't we just have some really close racing at a track where you just don't expect to get alongside anybody. And it's very similar here, because I'm a big IndyCar fan, and they of course race here, and last year's race involved essentially someone doing a contra strategy, doing a 2-stop, whereas everyone was doing 3 stops, and having to save the tyres at the end. And he managed to hold off the cars for about 7 laps around here as they were just trying to pelt past him, and his tyres were completely shot. So it's not easy, but there is a long straight, and Slipstream might just be able to give people the edge, but we'll have to wait and see.
Now I'm going to have the added fun of trying to figure out where we are on track, because this is the first time I have dealt with this particular circuit, so I do not know what is where, but that looks like the final couple of turns that Karen Van Eyck is coming through. Does he get a time on the board? Answer is he does, a 21.554, as the Pro-Ams are now beginning to fidget. They'll be getting their time slot very, very shortly. We'll see how well that goes for them. As you can see, when the it's 8 minutes per category, so the AMs have nearly come to the end of their 8-minute time slot. So when the timer hits 16 minutes remaining, is when the Pro-Ams will be released. Any AM driver on a lap will be allowed to finish it, as long as the Pro-Ams don't get in the way. Generally, they're very well behaved in that sense. As that's Merlin Cooper, fourth in class, coming back into the pits. Alessandro Portacorvi has set the fastest time by 22 thousandths of a second over Raimo Cooley. So the cruising missiles on Raptor. Never mind, Raimo Cooley's just gained that one back, and that is Alessandro Portacorvi. Oh no, beg your pardon, it's Portacorvi's teammate we just saw. The Pro-Ams are released. So yes, that's why there was another Raptor Racing Yellow. Just saw right next to Raimo Cooley. He's gotten out of the way, and now there they are. The Pro-Ams are released. Let's have a look at who we've got representing the Pro-Ams. 226 is the Team Tepper Masterplan Ford of Alex Schmidt. 241, the Hyperion Racing Blood Orange Porsche of Marvin Sluman. 254, the Team Tepper Weerborg BMW of Craig Dancy. 271 is the Privateer BMW of Dan Alpol. 214 is the Team Dingo BMW of Andreas Lutus. 245 is the Team Raptor Racing Yellow, the BMW I spotted earlier, of Stephen Brumfield. 200, the AOR Ford of Sarah Dove. 276 is the Team Tepper Turn BMW of Philip Schiff. 294 is the Privateer Ford of Alexis Boucher. I don't think we've seen Alexis for a week or two, so welcome back to you. And 232 is the Team Tepper Masterplan BMW of Tom Hooper. There's a couple of Pro-Ams yet to leave the pits. Have we got penalties, have we?
I think there were quite a few.
Oh, there is a penalties button that we will go through.
Well, in fact, there are more penalties that should be served that aren't being served because of absences. Than,
also that
will be served. But Riethmuller has a pit lane start, and Paolo Martins has a pit lane start and drive-through penalty, I believe.
Ouch! There was a lot of chaos. It's been 2 weeks since we were here, as it was a break week for AOR last week, as far as the GTEs were concerned. So it's been a little while since the GTEs were on track. So it'll be interesting to see who gets across the line first. So Reese Miller, we know, is not going to leave the blitz. Chris Yardley, the smiling Ford, hasn't left the pit lane either. Neither is Victor Masios, interestingly.
Very, very odd, if I'm going to be honest, because the only way you can qualify is by being out on the track. I know that sounds fairly obvious, but we currently have drivers that aren't out on the track when they should be qualifying.
Yeah, this doesn't seem like the sort of track you want to do like a last to first challenge on.
No, it's really, really not. I would very much recommend to them to get out on track now if I was being able to give them advice.
Unless, of course, they've had a technical trouble, which would explain it.
Yeah, they are in the session, though. The iRacing service has listed them as still here, so...
Interesting.
Yeah, it's confusing.
We'll keep an eye on them. My Muslima was briefly top of the tree for the program, so it's now Tom Hooper with a 119.848 in the Masterplan BMW. Sorry, Team Tepper Masterplan BMW. Andreas Lutis has just crossed the line. Was that valid? It was. That puts him up to 6th overall, which is 3rd currently with a 122.86. Ooh, this is going to be interesting. Now, I remember when we first went to Phillip Island. Well, I do remember it particularly because, one, I had no idea about the track, and 2, it was in the dark. So I'm at least saved that much. Unless we're not racing in the dark, are we?
I think we'll be safe. I don't think it's going to get dark. It'll just be it'll be sort of twilight.
That's
we should be able to see the track because it's summer now in game essentially. So we should have longer time of days.
Good, because it was pitch black when we first went to Phillip Island. There's no track lighting anywhere, and I had to rely very much on Stevie to tell me what corner we were looking at. Pretty much whole race long. So get used to that one, James. I might be needing you to correct me quite a lot.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there are some corner names around here. The rest of them are all numbers, but there was one in particular that I really want to say at some point in this race, and that is there is a corner called Thunder Valley. That is turn 10. That's a very nice name, and the rest of them are quite boring. But that one is... I keep getting it mixed up with a certain ride at many Disney theme parks in Thunder Mountain. But so if I accidentally call turn 10 Thunder Mountain at any point, just excuse me.
That's fine. Absolutely fine. I did a commentary over the weekend where one of the drivers was called Crispin Williamson. I kept calling him Crispin Thomas. That's the boss of my company. So we all make those little kind of trip-ups. Tom Hooper still at the top of the tree with a 19.703. Raimo Cooley in their arms has still got a quicker time than that with a 19.649. Was his final run. Very nicely done. Alessandro Portagorvi second in the arms is only a 10th off of that. Oh wow, Tom Hooper really chucking that one around. I've rather lost track of where he is.
He's actually coming up to Thunder Valley right now. And he goes through it there.
Wow, it's very roller coaster, isn't it? We're on the nose camera of Tom Hooper. He's chasing Sarah Dove and Stephen Brumfield through the last few turns. Wow, that last turn particularly looks much sharper on the off-board camera than it does on the on-board camera. But Tom Hooper set a new pole time with a 19.430.
It's very deceiving. I had a couple of people in practice shouting about how difficult it is, and me not driving at the time was just looking at it thinking, hey, it's not that bad, and then went for a practice run and went, okay, it's not great.
So what is this track realistically like? What's it comparable to? Or was it only really comparable to the likes of Phillip Island?
It is quite comparable to Phillip Island. In the sense of it's very twisty, very a lot of elevation change. I'm trying to think. Interlagos is quite elevation heavy as well, so I mean it's kind of like an Interlagos in the sense of you have a couple of straights, but most of it is corners. It's just that the corners are a bit faster here than you would find at Interlagos. I think that those two tracks are sort of ones you might be able to compare it to, just if you made them a lot, very hilly. This is it's just some of the corners are so hard to see where you're trying to go, as there is I think that's a Craig Dancy off at the penultimate corner, the carousel as it is called, and there's also quite a tricky pit lane.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Track.
that's going to be one of the... It's a bit like Canada, where it feeds off of the racing line.
It's a bit weird because of the fact that there's obviously that curb that a lot of people will be wanting to ride as much as possible in turn 1. But you in the pit lane can't go the other side of it. But it's just, I don't expect it to get messy, but it could.
It could.
It has the potential for.
Okie dokie. So the top 5 times now belong to the Pro-Ams. Tom Hooper at the top of the tree. 19.398, 1,000ths of a second. Behind him is Andreas Lutus. Wow, very nicely done. As we are approaching the end of the Pro-Am time. And so we will soon be letting the pros get underway. And very shortly the pros will be getting their time on this track. This is Boucher still going. Most of the Pro-Am still going. As much as I love the look of the Ford, it still sounds like a cement mixer.
Oh, it sounds even worse now. They've managed to add the... Basically, there's like, I think it's called the gearbox compressor. It makes a really annoying sound on downshift. And now in the cockpit, it just keeps going off.
119.168 Sarah Dove by 0.2 of a second at the top of the Pro-Am tree. Goodness me, we don't tend to find gaps like that. Well done, Sarah Dove. She was a bit, handy around Phillip Island, I seem to recall. Let's have a look at our pros then. The 173 Venom Motorsports BMW, Michael Edens. Welcome back to you, sir. 143 is the Radicals Online BMW of Connor Ryan. 119 is the Comrade Gaming White BMW of Blair Mann. 121 is the Team Tepper BMW of Reina Tava. 152 is the Team Tepper Ranch BMW of Alfie Lawrenson. 185 is the Tag Racing UK Ford of Andy Gorton. 103 is the Venom Motorsports BMW of John Halliwell. 111 is the Comrade Gaming Black Porsche of Alex Bennett. And 106 is the Team Shazoo. I like that livery. I do like the look of that. The Team Shazoo Ford of Michael Neumeier. As you can see, there are quite a few big hitters that aren't here in the championship. Our champion's not here.
Well, Mr. Woodford has dropped out of the league. He will no longer be taking part because of his... Well, just... I'm getting sort of into the same boat at the moment where driving is a bit... because of the new tyre model. It's actually a driver that had an ordeal at this track in real life about 6 months ago. Eloquently described some of the issues with the current tyre model in its sort of the slip that goes on, but that's long and detailed, and it's just... Yeah, basically there are things that as a community we kind of need to see if we can sort out, because like it's just we want to have more fun racing, and some things with the tyres just aren't making it great. Obviously people have seen very obviously on demand or on show this season it's been the grass and the gravel and how that's worked, and that's just not quite how people want to go racing. And around here you can see that ice grass, as we've been calling it, is just all the more present, and it's just not really making racing too fun at the moment.
Well, AOR's got no control over that, surely.
No, AOR hasn't, but it's just that Ross doesn't really want to drive in general. It's not AOR's fault.
It is the way it is.
It's just the way that he doesn't really want to be driving stuff because of... yeah. And like I said, a lot of drivers are in that boat at the moment, but we'll just have to see how it goes. People still enjoy the racing, and that's why people are still here. Obviously, they're not here this week because they're not well-raced track. But I'm sure when we get back to Silverstone, Canada, and Le Mans, which are tracks that a lot of people will have, everyone will be... I mean, Le Mans, I think, should be an ordeal. It's going to be the final race of the season. Last season, it was chaos there.
Yes, it was.
And I feel like that is going to be something to look forward to.
It was also a track I didn't think we'd see anywhere near as many incidents as we did. I thought that was just going to be a fairly predictable race. Oh, how wrong was I when it came to...
crazy.
So Andy Gorton still at the top of the tree with a 119.0 that he set before. That is Thunder Valley. I think he's just come out of turns 10, 11, 12. Now we're coming around that penultimate bend. Can't really see it from that camera, but the pit lane entrance is right there on the. If you run wide at turn 12, you'll end up in the pits. Does he improve? Yes, he does. We're seeing the 18s come on the board now. 18.852. Michael Neumeier has jumped up to third position overall, second in class with a 19.3. Alex Bennett has just jumped up, so has Blair Mann. Now we're seeing the representative times come on the board. A 19.1 for Blair Mann, a 19.5 for Alex Bennett. Rainer Talva, 119 flat in the BMW. Well. There may be less drivers, but I have no doubt we're going to have some pretty intense moments at this little circuit.
Also, Rainer obviously coming back after a brief hiatus with wheel issues, I'm pretty sure it was. So, yeah, we'll have to see how he does, because last time he was out on track in GTE League, he won in Road America. Hasn't been with us since. And so we'll have to see how his performance is. He's already looking pretty quick. He was top of the practice session. No, he wasn't actually top of the practice session. I beg my pardon. Andy Gorton was just pipped him at the end, I think, because he did an 18.6, whereas Rainer did an 18.7. We're a bit off that at the moment, so I expect lap times to drop as people get tyre temps up, and we might just be able to get further into the 18s, maybe even get to the mid-18 mark.
Well, there's an 18.7 from Karen Palmer. His times just continue to fall. That's right on board with the lead Ford. Let's go in the cockpit view because the Ford sounds a bit better from inside. One of the few straights this track has is around here. So just gone through turn 2. Then it's going to be flat out over the crest at 3. You can see that Andy is already just going to let in the car, wander over to the right hand side. It's over the crest then. That's a very blind braking zone for turn 4. Now the cambers and elevations really truly kick in. The roller coaster gets underway. Turn 5 down the hill, down turn 6. All the way around it goes. Now 7. As James mentioned earlier, that ice grass is ready and waiting to kill you at any given opportunity. So we've had turns 8 and 9. This is constant sliding going on in the Ford as Andy Gorton continues to wrestle his car around. Now through Thunder Valley, turns 10, 11, and certainly 10 and 11, 12. And there's the pit lane entrance, and that's going to cause issues, I'm pretty certain of that. Final turn number 13. Does he improve from that one? 18.774 is his time. Nope. Yes, he has. 18.758. His next. Sorry, I cut you off very unceremoniously there after I said very few straights in this circuit.
Well, I think it was just very clear to see there at this track how you sort of get a breather from the start-finish line up to turn 4, and then it is full on with just constant battering of corners thrown left, right, and centre at you, and it sort of flies by once you get to turn 4. It's just almost as if, oh, I'm on another lap now, because it's so short and it's so just you have to be so alert to get through a lap here without spinning, as you mentioned, Andy. Having a lot of sliding going on, and that is just a nature of the bumps, the banking, the camber, because there is a little bit of on-camber corners as well as a lot of off-camber corners, so much to contend with for the drivers. It is very tricky, and it's just going to be sort of a survival race more than anything, especially towards the start. One thing I have also noticed is that from the spectator view, we don't have to hear the gearbox compressor noise that is so annoying for all of the Ford drivers.
Oh yes,
because instead of making the Ford slower, they've just decided to make it more annoying so people don't drive it.
An 18.6 now on the board for Andy Gorton. The checkered flag has fallen. Whoa! Hello, Michael Neumeier. Oh, and that's the Comrade Porsche that's just stuck it in the wall. That's Alex Bennett. Will not improve then from the 19 flat he put on the board earlier on. He will start. He's just been demoted to 6th by, I think it was John Halliwell. Nope, it wasn't John Halliwell at all. It was possibly Blair Mann or Rainer. No, it would be Blair Mann. I think that's just jumped up into 4th. And he's still going. Wow, did Michael Neumeier leave that to the last second with an 18.580 on the board, 37 thousandths of a second ahead of Andy Gorton. John Halliwell still going in the Venom Motorsports BMW. They're the only 2 cars still going, and nope, John's parked it. Does Andy Gorton for Tag Racing UK in the 1854? Can he beat Michael Neumeier, he's been slowly increasing his time lap on lap with tyre temperature and the car getting a bit lighter with fuel, I'd have thought. Into Thunder Valley once again. Through turn 12. Keeps it very tight to the inside line. Then floors it using every available bit of track. Does he improve? He would have done. That was an 18.51. He would have done, but that was invalid. So he will not get the pole spot. My goodness. That was very, very close. So it's Michael Neumeier that takes the top spot with Andy Gorton alongside. Then it is Talvar, Mann, Halliwell, Bennett. Sarah Dove is the Pro-Am pole. And Lawrenson, Ryan, Schmidt, Hooper, Lutus, Alpol, Sluman, Edens, Brumfield. Raimukuli is the top spot in the AM category with Pontecorvi, Boucher, Mamano, Dancy, Schiff, Cooper, Pari, Lodato, Smith, Van Eyck, Kamke, and the three that didn't set a lap time, bearing in mind there are penalties going on here, it was Yardley, Riethmuller and Matthias. Speaking of, so we have had a class change, although we don't have Michael Mariani with us. He's been elevated up into the Pro-Am category. Penalties, as mentioned, there's quite a few. Paolo Martins, he wasn't with us today. Pit lane start, so he'll be serving that upon his return, hopefully next week. Sebastian Riethmuller, that's why we didn't see him come out, because as James explained, he has got a pit lane start. Rena Hensler is not with us. He's got a drive through, as Roberti Edouard, not with us either. Rafael Bonatti, also not with us this evening, and that is all the penalties we have got on that list. Ooh, right then. This is going to be interesting, I suspect. It'll be more fun for us than it will be for them.
Yep, definitely. It's going to be quite tricky to navigate these first couple of laps. We have had a lot of first lap incidents. Hopefully with a slightly smaller field, it might be a little bit more contained. But it's very difficult with these new tyres to get them up and into their working range. So people do struggle. Just need to take it easy. There will be opportunities. I expect that a lot of people will have it in this race, and they just need to kind of keep their heads and get ready. We're very close to the end of the lap here, as you can see, so I do expect that it might be a bit chaotic from that as well. The formation lap is not long.
No, and we have 61 laps of this very tight and twisty circuit. So people lapping the slower cars, that's going to be interesting, because there's not many places for the slower cars to get out of the way. So
it'll kind of just be a case of, if you catch them in turn 4, good luck.
You've had it. Yeah, good luck sitting behind them and watching your lead disappear. Oh dear, oh dear. Right, lights are on. The pace car will start to get underway very shortly. Yep, everybody has returned to the session. And away goes the pace car. And away goes the front forwards. Off we go then. As we're looking at Andy Gorton as they come through that Thunder Valley, as it's called. Oh, that's so close. I mean, they could almost reach out and grab hold of the car next to them.
It's very narrow as well. That's one thing we haven't really mentioned. It is not great for these wide cars, and they're already around the final corner.
That's very close, but we're underway. We are racing here in Mid-Ohio, and already Andy Gorton! Yeah, there is. Goodness me, who's the BMW that's come through? There's one of the Tepper it's Rainer Talvar. The Tepper BMWs. And unhappy Andy Gorton.
Gorton was not happy about that move. I mean,
no, he was not.
Done at the moment, and we've got through very clear as they approach turn 2 of the keyhole. Gorton's going to look round the outside there on Talvar. Might get a good exit going down the long straight towards turn 4 now. Everything looks clean behind, though, from what I can see.
He's still flashing his lights as the Ford of Andy Gorton. We've already lost Alexis Boucher. He's returned to the pits for some reason. We don't know what's happened. I'll try and catch up with it. If you could try and find out what's happened there, James, whether he started a crash or a problem.
He just didn't start.
Oh.
I don't know what's happened there, but he just, on the pull away, he escaped to the pit.
That's a great shame. So already down to 30 cars, but I have no doubt at all, though, we are going to be in for a fantastic race, especially if Andy Gorton's fired up like that. So, Rainer Talvar then getting his elbows out very, very early on as we come sweeping through turns 10, 11 and 12. And the Ford looking like he's trying to struggle to He's kind of struggling to hang on to the back of Talbot, it looks like, but very, very, very early doors. Oh, trouble for Merlin Cooper. He's had trouble. What has happened to him? Oh, he's dropped that completely on his own on the exit turn 9, I think.
Yeah, on the exit turn 9 there, just over one of the crests. Cold tyres. Car was not really stable. Just sent him off into the wall.
He is going again, but he is quite some distance off the back of the pack. Oh dear, oh dear. A great shame for Merlin. He is some 7 odd seconds behind Sebastian Riethmüller, who started from the pit lane, so doing what he can to catch the back of the back. Look how close these top 3 are. Oh, now Rainer Talvar looking on the outside of Michael Neumeier. It was interesting that Neumeier committed to that defensive line really early on into turn 4. I mean, any of these guys could kind of banzai that one into the inside of 4, but then the next corner is a left-hander, so that will be pretty tricky. Oh, Jamie Smith, you've lost a spot to Stefan Kamke. It was a fairly simple overtake. No one's gone off the road. Michael Neumeier. Oh, now Neumeier's got himself a little bit of breathing space, and now Blair Mann's joined the party.
And it's just, yeah, I mean, we've got just, somehow they've got a top 4 train that's managed to pull away from John Halliwell. Alex Bennett is sitting where he started in 6th, and he's got a whole load of top Pro-Am drivers behind it.
That's a mental amount of cars he's got behind him.
We might see just a long snake for these first sort of opening laps as everyone tries to sort out their race pace positions.
Look at that!
Slipstreaming, and yeah, it's going to be amazing as we go down the back straight out of the keyhole. I just imagine them all snaking down towards turn 4 from this point on.
Oh, Jamie Smith has lost another one to Craig Dancy. Jamie's struggling a little bit, it seems. It doesn't look like he has damage to the car. Maybe a track that is not suiting him too well. Oh, now Rainer Talvar's getting close again. Somebody literally called somebody in chat talking about the font of the graphics. Oh, that's been a debate behind the scenes, I can assure you, but I'll take it forward. But duly noted. Now, this is going to be interesting. Now, does the Ford or the BMW have any particular strengths or weaknesses at different points of this track, or is this just purely down to driving and setup?
I mean, I would just... Ford is faster. Pretty much in a lot of places, there aren't really many opportunities where the BMW is going to get faster than it. Especially down the straights, the Ford is very quick this season in a straight line. And that's kind of the only place you can overtake is down that long back straight between turn 2 and turn 4. As I see a cone just getting punted off in the distance, as we might see that a lot. So if you see a stray cone flying around, do not be alarmed. The iRacing marshals will replace it very soon.
They're amazing. The cone care that goes on in iRacing tracks is incredible.
I mean, they're very useful because quite often you end up using cones as braking points. So if they didn't replace them, I don't know what us drivers would do sometimes.
Oh, here comes Talvar! Rainer Talvar on the outside of Michael Neumeier. No, the Ford's got that one covered. The Team Shazoo Ford knows exactly how he's covering that one down. Alpal and Marvin Sluman side by side. The Porsche's gone through into 13th position. Is he going to be able to fend him off? That is very close. Another one. That's Daniele Mamano's lost a spot to Philip Schiff. Wow, Schiff banzai that one on the inside of turn 4. That's brave considering how close that pack is. Right behind him, Raimo Cooley, the leader of the AM class. Oh no, beg your pardon. No, he was the pole man in the AM class. Alessandro Pontecorvi has the lead of the class at the moment. Unless I've misread that. No, he does. Alessandro Pontecorvi, the Raptor Racing yellow BMW, leads the pro class. The Pro-Am leader also choking on our class. He's still Saradov. There she is. A whole heap of company up in 8th position. Trying to ride directly behind. Then second in the Pro-Am is Alex Smith. There he is for Team Tepper, followed very closely by Tom Hooper. Now, is this going to be sort of very much a slipstream fest and see who blinks first?
Very much so, because it's very difficult to risk an overtake around here. The only main opportunity is into that turn 4 braking zone, but you have to get the inside. Going around the outside of turn 4 is pretty much impossible.
Raimo Cooley, sorry James, Raimo Cooley's made a mistake somewhere. What's he done? Has he just gone too deep into one? Yes, he did. Now that's not a slowdown, that's just how much momentum he lost. He lost 3 positions there to Mikhail Pari, Stefan Kamke and Craig Dancy. Ooh, that was very, very close. But look at this top 3. This is absolutely fabulous. Ford, BMW Ford, Neumeier, Talvar, Gorton. 3 different cars, 3 different teams. Oh, never mind. We have trouble. Oh no, Kamke. Stefan Kamke's made a mistake. Oh, the tail just got very loose on the Ford, off onto the ice, and bumps the wall. That's going to cause him enough damage to... Oh, that'll be frustrating because he's going to lose that all crucial cornering efficiency, isn't he?
He's going to be a bit slower on the straights, and when we say that the only opportunity is on that main straight, it just means that if you do need to overtake anybody at any point in this race, you're now being hindered by your car. I mean, it was a fairly low speed impact. There isn't really much damage. I can see maybe a slight bend, but it's not too bad, so I think Stefan will be okay. I've seen much worse than that, and so he should be able to continue on. What's really interesting is how closely the lead were lapping. A couple of laps ago, the 2 top guys were separated by about a millisecond in their lap times. So I imagine this train to stay as close as it is for a while.
Oh,
because, as you can see, the gap between the front 2 is about 0.2 of a second, and then about 0.3 of a second back to Gorton, but it ebbs and flows as they go through different corners. Some cars better through other corners, some corners than others, depending on setup.
Sorry, Jamie Smith and Luca Lotato very close together. The Porsche just managed to overcome the BMW, but only just. Luca managed to make the pass on that back straight. Jamie doing what he could to fight that one back. Also, what we looked at was Craig Dancy. I think it was Craig Dancy. Was it Craig? No, it wasn't. It was Chris Yardley having a spin, or having a part spin, exactly the same as Merlin Cooper did a few laps ago. And that's put him down, well, as to put him down with Merlin Cooper. But there's top 3. Andy Gorton is still intermittently flashing his lights. Rainer Talvar. Oh no, Craig Dancy has now had a trouble. I commentated cursed him by complete accident. What has he done? That's down at turn 10. No, he's done that one, okay. Whoops, no. He's gone way too deep at 12. Skated off the road, and that's going to take him a fortnight to go back on. I mean, at least he had space, inverted commas, or he found some space to come back on.
Yeah, the car just got stopped to quite a low-speed corner of the carousel there at the end of the lap, so I managed to avoid the wall. Should be able to continue on now. Only down to 25th position because of, obviously, the reduced field size, so he's still got people in front of him. He can see a lot of drivers, but he just needs to start making his way back up the field. But Craig was not a happy man in practice, so he just needs to keep a level head, really. He needs to keep his calm, keep his cool, get on with the mission and just try and get past some people. And the lead battle edge just cut back, it's just so close. Talvar is just staring at the back of that Shizou Ford car, and he just can't really do anything because of the Ford straight line speed. And the more he looks at it, I don't know whether he's just trying to save as much fuel as possible by getting the most efficient slipstream. There was a bit of lift and coast actually as they go into the keyhole at turn 2. So Rainer might be trying to save some fuel, but Neumeier is still defending, and he will like to see that. Because Neumeier will, by defending, will be using up more tyres, will be using up more fuel, and that's just more resources that you can't afford.
Well, there we go. We've just gone onto the gearbox camera on Neumeier. I think that was the point when Rainer Talvar backed off. Equally, that's Blair Mann in the Conrad BMW, not that far away. Oh, Neumeier, you got really quickly coming out of turn 6. Just about manages to keep it in a straight line. Of course, Rainer can't do anything about that, but that is going to hold all 3 of them up. And that could well allow the second BMW to join this party. Not far behind Blair is actually John Halliwell. So I just get the feeling Andy Gorton is just really, really wound up from, or still really wound up from what happened in lap 1 between himself and the BMW. That's again the gearbox camera from Michael Neumeier. We'll be able to see just where the Ford is able to deploy all its horses. Now it's interesting, I've noticed that Rainer seems to go for an earlier apex than Neumeier does. So I need to turn 1. I've noticed it a few times in a few different corners.
I mean, it's obviously a track that I don't think a lot of people have driven, so I expect a lot of people to have different driving styles around here because of that whole you haven't really watched anyone else do it, so they don't really know what to do, and they're kind of making up the things on the spot. So you might see a lot of different driving styles. I've actually just rewatched that lap one thing. I don't know whether Gorton was necessarily so angry at Rayner because of the contact. What also happened was Neumeier took the apex at turn 12, the penultimate corner, and, well, being the pole man, he's supposed to be on the left, and that's not where the apex is of that corner, so it kind of cut off Gorton. So he was alongside Rayner, so I don't know whether he's angry necessarily at Rayner or whether he's angry at the leader.
Well, if we get a chance to have a chat to him post-race, we will hopefully be able to ask him that. As Craig Dancy has just gone past Kyle Van Eyck for 24th position. That won't make any difference in the class battle. They continue as much as they were. Wendy Gorton on Rayner Talbot, not quite into turn 1. There's no braking zone there. But Rayner didn't look like he had such a good run out of those last couple of corners because he's a little bit off the back of Michael Neumeier. Is Gorton going to go for it into turn 2? No. Thinks better of it. But he is keeping the pressure on Rayner Talbot very much so. Right behind them, Blair Mann. Got a bit seconds back, John Halliwell. And then Alex Bennett with Alfie Lawrenson in hot pursuit as well. Then it's Sarah Dove that's still got that big train, but in fairness, the gap between her and Connor Ryan, as you can see there, that's what 9/10 of a second looks like. Then it's near enough the same between Connor and Alex Schmidt. Really, it's Alex that's got a lot of the pack in very short order. Tom Hoop, well, Alex Schmidt is second place in the Pro-Am. Sarah still leading that particular division. And Tom Hooper already behind him. Then it's Andreas Lutus, Marvin Sluman, Dan Alpole, Michael Edens is still in this particular pack. I imagine, like you were saying earlier, James, he's just kind of stuck there because he can't, overtaking is a premium at this particular venue. Then Stephen Broomfield right behind him. Oh, Ponte Corby, what's just happened to you? Jamie Smith has lost a position as well, so just seeing a few passing going on there.
Just running a bit wide with Ponte Corby, and Schiff just took the opportunity to go down the open door, get the position, and now he might be able to push on a bit because there was quite a bit of a gap forming in front of them, so he needs to sort of get a move on now. It's 10 seconds to the next car, and now he's in front. He might want to try and pull away.
Ooh, Philip Schiff getting squiggly on the exit of that final turn. Interesting, the fastest lap of the race actually belongs to Rayner Talvar in the BMW.
Well, it's because he had that gap at the start of the lap, and he's now closed up to the back of Neumeier, so that's probably why he's managed to go a bit quicker. The real question, I think, is who's faster out of Talvar and Gorton, because I think they're both faster than Neumeier. Maybe it's part of the slipstream, but there isn't much place to use the slipstream around here. So out of those two in second and third, we need to find out who's fastest really, I think, to see who's going to end up having the driving seat in this race.
I was going to ask that. Is the slipstream a big enough thing here? Is that what's keeping Talvar in the fights? Because Blair Mann really doesn't have an answer to the three ahead of him. Is that because Blair's got no slipstream going on?
Well, I think I was quite astounded because these guys were battling and they were still pulling away from Blair. I just think these guys are really quick here. I just think that no matter what Blair does, he's kind of just going to have to resign himself to the fact that he's not going to be able to challenge for the podium unless one of them has an issue. They're just sort of in another league almost up front there, the three of them. They're just so quick, but they're so evenly matched really, and it's just going to mean that they're going to sort of sit here in this three-man snake almost and slipstream off each other, try and stay with each other and see how the race pans out, as we've lost Craig Dancy.
Yeah, I just saw that. He's had an internet trouble, is he?
No, he left manually.
Has he had
just watching what's happened to Craig. He's gone through the fight. He's gone off at turn 12 again and has just quit.
Oh dear. Can we see what happened to Mr. Dancy, I wonder? Oh, there he is. Now listed as 30th, of course, because he's no longer in the session. This is turn 10, 11, 12. He just overcooked it at 12. Yeah, there he went. And didn't fancy playing that one out and jumped out of the session before the car slammed into the wall. Now starting to see the 18s on the board. Unbelievably, last time around, 1:18.972 by both Neumeier and Talvar. They had the same lap time to the thousandths of a second.
However, Talvars is the one that counts as the fastest lap, so it must have been just that tiny fraction of a second faster.
Oh, Andy
As Gorton's
Gorton!
getting very racy going to turn 2, but it's kind of a suicide dive into there. Braking zone isn't really that big, and you kind of just... So it's a one-line corner, really. You're not really going to be given much space, and the guy in front of me just going to close the door. You just need to focus on getting the exit out of 2 and try and get the run down to 4. And if you can just get the inside line, that's the only time you can think about getting the move done.
Oh, trouble! Alex Schmidt! That's turn... Where's it? Oh, that's turn 2. Oh, wow! He's turned in on... I didn't see... Who was the BMW? That's a Tapper BMW. That is car number 232. It's Tom Hooper.
Tom Hooper.
Oh dear, oh dear. Alex will not be happy about that one. That's put him right the way down in 16th position. I lost him a
Well, that's what I said about the suicide dive into turn 2. They're just... It always happens. The guy in front is just always going to close the door, really, in turn. There's not really much of an overtaking. You can stick your nose down there, but... I don't know much about this in sim racing world, but I've seen it a lot in real life, and every time someone tried to stick their nose down there, it's just always ended up with someone spinning, or someone getting hit, or someone's front wing braking. There's always contact. You just have to get the exit out of turn 2, get the run down the straight, and turn 4, 5, and 6 kind of the only place where you're going to get some action.
See, it was quite funny in my mind, because I thought to myself, really, it doesn't look that bad. Just as I had that thought, then Alex Smith turned in, and that all then kicked off between himself and Tom Hooper. So that rather underlines exactly what you were saying.
Because and Tom Hooper's gone deep into that very corner, and that's kind of wise, because it's a tricky braking zone. It's one of those ones where you're sort of still braking as the corner comes up.
Cohen Van Eyck. Oh, wow, that's the wall. Yep, that's down at turn 12. That's gone horribly wrong for the Porsche. Oh, Philip Schiff has had another problem, I think. Whilst one incident was going on, I think Philip Schiff's had another one. Oh, flash of the lights there from Pontecorvi. It looked like Philip Schiff just let Alessandro go.
It might have been a thank you flash of the light, maybe?
Ooh.
I don't know.
Don't know on that one. We didn't see what preceded it.
Yeah, that's just... I don't see any incident. Maybe just Schiff realised that he's not quick up and he's not doing any good things by holding up the pack here. And I think he just let Pontecorvi go. Because he has fallen behind Stephen Brumfield. Well, Alex Schmidt, but also Stephen Brumfield by quite a margin. He's been leading that train, so maybe he just thought he'd hand the reins over to Pontecorvi.
Good will be. The top 3 remaining as they are. They're lapping in the same tenth of a second. All 3 of them doing a 19.2 last time around, and Blair Mann nearly setting his personal best, but he's still slower than the top 3. So he's at the moment got no answer for them. Alfie Lawrence and Alex Bennett still very, very close. There's a lot of people that are still very, very close to somebody else. There's a Raimo Cooley in that particular pack behind Pontecorvi, Schiff, Pari, and behind him is Daniele Mamano. So this pack hasn't resolved itself. Neither has the one behind. Well, the one behind Sarah Duff has split a little bit. Herself and Connor Ryan have gotten away by about 2.6 seconds from Andreas Lutus. But looking from his gearbox, you can quite clearly see he looks like he's beginning to break away, but he's still got that very menacing looking conga line right behind him. And speaking of Miko Pari, very close to his fellow cruising missiles. Pari and Cooley just roll around. No, Pari was ahead of Cooley before. Oh, that's a little bit deep. Ooh, is this an opportunity for Cooley to try and come past him for 18th position? Side by side, but no. No!
They're still going at it, and Cooley is going to have the inside line as they go through the carousel, and he gets the move done, gets past his teammate. No team orders there.
Wow.
Down at Team Cruising Missiles, and yep, Cooley's got into the teens now. He's in 19th position.
That could easily have turned into a missile, though, straight into the wall.
Well, we've seen loads of people miss their braking points at turn 12 already this race, so it wouldn't have been the first time.
Yeah, that was on their own as well, let alone side by side with someone. So fair play to Cooley and Pari there. Very, very well played indeed. Goodness me, it's difficult for me to know where to look. Because, again, there's so many... We say there are battles going on, but it really is just pressure and wait for the mistake to happen, or try and just force an error. Because this is overtaking opportunities are very sparse here.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned about the IndyCar race where they had tyre wear issues for the leader. He had about 5 lap cars that were just sitting there trying to unlap themselves and just physically couldn't, even though their tyres were probably 2 seconds a lap quicker at a track this short. They
Wow.
there was nothing they could do because just for some reason it just obviously they have dirty air being single-seater cars, whereas these cars do not. They just have slipstream, but they don't have the push-to-pass overtake system that those cars have. So ebbs and flows, I guess, in the swings and roundabouts and all of that. And the cone dies as they go through turn 1. We need a cone counter for the season, I think. That's what we need to install next season. We just have a cone counter for all the cone deaths that happen across the races. As I just go, every time you go back to the front pack and you just see them sniffing at each other's rears.
And there's a sentence that you can't often say.
But speaking of these leaders, they're only 16 seconds now away from the back of the pack, essentially, and that's what you get at these short races, or these short tracks. Somewhere like Le Mans, where we'll go at the final race of the season, it'll take forever to come across a lap car. Somewhere here, because it's such a short lap, you'll come across lap cars so quickly. We're only on lap 17 out of a predicted 61, probably 60 when you factor in pit stops, and we've still got an hour of racing to go.
No pressure then.
Yeah.
Good grief.
We could see a lot of lap cars essentially in this race. Maybe even I mean I dare to say it, but possibly even a top 10.
Wow.
That. I mean it's speculation obviously, but it's a possibility.
Oh, down our pole. Oh, trouble. Oh no, Saradav, our Pro-Am leader. What's
and taking a voice of action with Andreas Lutus, and that's kicked off a load of people trying to get past because they now see 3 positions in front of them.
Yeah, that's Lutus doing some lawn mowing, a lot of cone killing. Oh no, Sarah Dove, she's just gone onto the grass before her braking zone, and that just pitched the car around. That one mistake has put her right to the back of that entire pack. Now 15th position, the Pro-Am lead now in the hand of Tom Hooper at the front of that particular pack. So if Sarah can find her way through people, then she'll have a chance of trying to regain some lost time. But she dropped from 8th down to, say, 15th position. Almost all of those are Pro-Am drivers.
Yeah, this is the side effect of these massive trains that we've got going on, is the second you make one mistake like that, it's just an instant sort of 5 position drop. And track position is more important than time here because of how we've mentioned how difficult it is to get past people. Whereas I think normally you'd be worried about the time loss, but here it's just can't afford to lose a position.
Oh, I found a Ferrari. Sebastian Riethmiller's in one.
They exist.
Just to remind you this. Oh, Ryan Cooley's made a mistake. I think Ryan Cooley's made a mistake. Oh, Covan Ice. Oh, Covan Ice made a very big mistake in the Hyperion Porsche. Oh, wow. Where on earth is that?
That is down at turn
4.
number 4.
Yeah.
But that is just yeah, I mean, he's missed his braking point, and then he's got onto the grass and the gravel that will slow you down.
Yeah, but he did a brilliant job. I was expecting him to spear into the wall. He's only just recovered now. So that's lost him a colossal amount of time, but hasn't caused too much damage to the back of his car. That, I suspect, is Blair Mann. Yep, that is 4th place just coming through. Oh, it's going to make Cohen's day even worse, but that was very well handled to not banzai it into the wall. Yeah,
it's one of those things where once when you're in a vast expanse of land there, I believe it's actually it's officially called China Beach, that section of off-track. It has a name.
What is it called?
China Beach.
Okay.
I don't know why it's called that, but apparently, according to the official track map, that section of gravel is just called China Beach.
Okay.
And Karen Van Eyck enjoyed his day down at the beach.
Yeah.
I think stayed there for a long time. Got a bit of a tan.
Yeah. Took his bucket and spade with him.
Yeah. But when you're off in the vast expanses of the low brick grass, it takes an age to get back on track because you can barely control your car the second you put an inch of throttle.
Oh goodness me! This pack behind Philip Schiff is just so close. Once again, Talvar is 1 minute he's really close to Neumeier, next minute Andy Gorton's looking to have a go at him. Goodness me, these three must be sweating buckets up front. Well, I imagine they all are. Quite frankly, I don't envy our drivers. I admire them. Oh, Raimo Cooley's going to have a look at Sander Portagovi. Yes, he is. Oh, no, that's going to go horribly wrong. Oh, my goodness. Gentlemen, we've already proved this point that James made quite a few laps ago, that is a suicide effort going on down there. As Cooley and Parry once again side by side. Oh, here we go. This is who's going to blink first into turn 4. If Cooley got that one, if Pari's, that's actually Mikael Pari that's the one behind, as Raimo Cooley does manage to recover 18th position, but that's knocked Pontecorvi down into 20th. He will not be pleased about that one whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the nature of the off, because there is, the way the camber of the corner is, it makes it a very off camber corner, so the second you're on the inside, you're constantly being pushed outwards. So if you send it into turn 2, it just means that your car will not turn in for the corner. It will be sent to the outside where the other driver is. And combine that with the fact that you're quite often braking as you're turning in, so the driver in front is focusing so much on the corner in the braking zone rather than the car behind. It just all sort of turns into this mess that we have, that if you send it into there, it's just never really going to go well.
Jamie Smith.
And in fact, even the IndyCar Championship was almost lost in that corner because someone bent it.
Oh, I think someone has just binned it. Yeah, that is Dan Alpol. He's tried to ying that one on the inside of 4. He's gone way too deep. Not a month of Sundays were you recovering that one as he hit the wall. By a mere margin, he avoids the wall. Dan Alpol, good save. New underpants please in car 271. Wow, that was a scary moment for him. He's now got Alex Schiff right on his tail. Jamie Smith we saw as well having a bit of a problem, having a half spin all on his own. The top 3 still scrapping over the same bit of track and will no doubt continue to do so. Then Blair Mann in 4th position on his own. Then another pack of 3 now. Oh, trouble for Schiff.
Schiff, yeah, he's just gone off through turn 9. And, yeah.
Whoa! Yeah.
Another mistake to add to the list from the drivers, to be honest.
Yeah. The tail did not want to stick, and that's put him down into 22nd position behind Luca Lodato, who is he second, I think? No, fourth in our AM category. Raimo Cooley is that'll be why Raimo Cooley is fighting so hard. That's the AM lead. That's actually the AM podium in those 3 cars. Raimo Cooley, Mikael Pari and Alessandro Pontecorvi and Daniele Mamane. Actually, that's the first 5, I just realised, in the AM class in that one shot right there. So that's actually, decent points, decent positions in the AM class going on right there. That's why they're fighting so hard. Also, just noticed that incident points really are not a thing here.
Well, if you get an incident point, you're being sent to essentially the shadow realm.
Going off to the moon.
Because they're... Yeah, the second you touch the grass, it's bye-bye car.
Yep.
I've also just noticed that the 5, 6, 7 battle is become a thing. There was a point in the race where Halliwell had kind of broken away from Bennett and Lawrenson, but they've now caught up, and they've got this battle going on. Maybe Halliwell's tyres are starting to degrade a little bit. The BMW is not famed for having great.
Oh, Mikael Pari! Oh no, we were just talking about you. And he's done exactly that. So many people have been caught out at that very same corner.
Well, he just you can see his car just there was a bump that he's gone over, and the car's just gotten unsettled as he's turned in.
What's happened to Marvin Sluman? Nothing particularly. Just Andreas Lutus has done the move into turn 2 properly, and Sluman has seen him coming and given adequate racing room. Very nicely done. That is Michael Edens looking to try and compass as well, but he can't find a way through. And again, Michael Edens being quite cautious because time lost here is never going to be recovered. Oh, now we've got the biggest gap up front that we've had for a while. There it is, 7/10 between Neumeier and Rainer Talvar. Obviously Neumeier leading the way for Team Shazoo. There he is in the blue Ford. Now, is this an opportunity for Mr. Gorton to try and put a bit more pressure on the BMW? Has Rainer Talvar made a mistake? Well, it would have seemed that he has somewhere. Or Neumeier has just wiggled his big toe a little bit more with a 19.1 on the board last time around, a 19.5 for both Talvar and Gorton. Oh my goodness.
I've also done a quick Google. Turns out it's called China Beach because they couldn't afford real sand because of the recession. and so they had to get it from China.
Wow, even the sand is made in China.
Today, ladies and gentlemen.
That's brilliant. Even the sand is made in China. That is absolutely fantastic. Oh, Chris Yardley chasing our lone Ferrari, Mr. Riethmuller. He's stayed loyal to the Ferrari for quite a few seasons for VEC Sim Racing Cyan. I think he's the only VEC driver in as well.
Well, I think that is the case today. Yeah, we didn't have any Ferraris last time out in Barcelona, so it's an improvement nonetheless.
100% improvement, yeah.
I expect Ferrari to get a lot quicker next season, because quite often what would happen if you've made a car very slow is that it then gets reversed the opposite way, because you've tried to fix the issue you've created and you've done it so badly that it's now pretty quick. So if the Ferrari is a widespread option, then a lot of the people in the community have already called.
I made a mistake last lap, first corner ran wide. Thank you very much, representative of Team Shizou, for joining us in the chat. And we welcome you and everyone else in our chat, as well as Dan Alpol has binned it again. That's another turn 12 incident. Oh, you can see he was just trying to slow it down desperately. Oh, yeah, it's going to hurt. As he's bounced off the wall. He's actually brought that straight into the pits as well.
It's pit stop window anyway now. We're over half an hour into the race, which is normally when we want to start looking at pit stop windows. Obviously, it's probably not going to use that much fuel this track, because you're not on the throttle as much as other straight line heavy circuits such as Spa, Monza, Daytona, etc. So we can go a bit longer on the tank. I don't think we can get a one stop because there's nowhere really to save fuel, and it's not like, I think you need to save about 10 litres across the car, most cars, to get a one stop here. So there's just nowhere to do it, really.
Are they going to change tyres, do you reckon?
That's a very good question. It's getting colder. The track temperature hasn't changed too much since qualifying, and it's gone down about 1 or 2 degrees. So, yeah, it could be an interesting topic, because I know Talvar was complaining about his tyre wear. I think after about 10 laps, he'd gone down 15%, and we're looking at a 60-lap race. So, quick maths tells you that's about 10% tyres left.
Wow.
Which is, well, Talvar was basically back on the tread, just back in Road America in his last race. I think he was on like 0% or something.
Oh, wow.
After the race, it was basically nothing. Basically complete camp.
Dan Alpol has served his pit stop and has filtered out right into that battle that Sarah Duff found herself in. As now that's Alex Smith that's just gone through, so he's been lapped by everybody up to 14th position, as Michael Edens has brought his car in for his statutory pit stop. 18 seconds stationary, and where is he going to filter out? There's Mikko Pari. He's at the beginning of the start-finish straight, so should come out fairly comfortably ahead of the former AM leader, or one of the front runners in the AM class. There we go. So he's found himself a big, clear bit of track. That's probably the first bit of clean air that Michael Edens has had all race long, as he has been stuck in a train for what must have felt like forever. Will they go to the end, or will they pit again, do you think?
I think there will be another pit stop. But what's very interesting is that Neumeier is now about 2 seconds away from the lap traffic, and we're in a pit stop situation here. So if I was one of the leaders, I would pull the trigger right now.
Yeah, definitely.
I'd be saying, get myself in the pits, try and jump some of the lap traffic at least from the pit stop, and hope that I don't have to lap go on track. There's a little bit of that gap you can see between Riethmuller and the car in front of him, which is Jamie Smith. So you might be able to get those back three of Riethmuller, Yarvi and Cooper if you manage to pull the trigger now.
This is going to be interesting. If our leaders choose to continue, that's quite a squabble they're catching up to. So yeah, I would be inclined to agree. If they're looking to try and maximise their races, Kevin Van Eyck has brought his car into the pits now. Now's the ideal time to do it. There's not really anything to gain by continuing on, surely.
No, because they don't have an incentive really to let you through other than the rules, obviously, because they're battling very hard. But Neumeier doesn't, Talvar doesn't, and Gorton doesn't. So they've opted to battle their way through the lap traffic.
Well, I would imagine that Talvar and Gorton are just going to copy just mirror what's.
Well, I would, if I was Talvar, I'd be looking at this as an opportunity to get a jump, really, because if he gets held up, because he's not going to get all of these people before he gets to turn 4. And if he gets to once he gets to turn 4, that's the sort of the cut-off point of, well, now you're going to have to follow them through at least some of the corners because they can't physically let you through.
Yeah, but so I'm not surprised that Talvar and Gorton copied what Neumeier did. As we now do have several people that have come in. Sluman and Lutus have been through. As I say, Komanik has already been through. So a few people now getting their pit stops done. I thought Talvar was thinking about a manoeuvre then. Opted not to. Sluman was only stationary for 12 seconds that time, so he definitely didn't take tyres on. Lutus 19.7 says well, unless people have got damage on their cars, seems to be quite a few varying amounts of stationary time.
And this is where Neumeier and that lot are getting held up. As actually, they're going 3 wide into the carousel.
Holy moly!
As Neumeier pit.
I'm seeing that again from the chopper cam because there went Talvar. That's reasonably getting out of the way. I wonder whether Neumeier opted to do so because he had Talvar on the inside.
Mate, I don't know. I mean, Talvar's in a good position because he should not get any traffic here because he should get Cam-K on the straight. And that means that Talvar's not going to have any interruptions. So it's basically going to be an overcut strategy versus an undercut here. Talvar's going to get slipstream a bit down this straight, although he has just opted for the inside. Cam-K, I would presume, yep, there he goes. He lets Talvar through, should let Gorton through as well. And now these guys just need to push for the next 8 or so corners.
This is going to be close though, because I wonder whether they, whenever you've got back markers near you, you do kind of have that moment of hesitancy. There's quite a few people have gone through the pits now. Halliwell, Bennett, Ryan, Hooper, Sluman, Brumfield. They're moving around all over the place. Ryan McCurdy's been through. Edens will gain a few positions now. Schiff is in. Luca Lodato apparently, I think, is completely... I wonder whether he missed his pit stop there because he sort of stopped and then stopped again.
Gorton's going another lap. Could he one-stop this race?
Well, the Ford is the only one that can.
Well, this is lap 30, and of course we're expecting 60-lap race because we've got 2 stops. If he can do essentially this stint again, come 30 laps time.
That'll be amazing if he does.
That's like half a minute at least that he would just gain from sitting in their slipstream, doing a lot of lift and coast. But if Gorton can do it, he'll definitely try. It'll be very different from Gorton's normal strategies. He likes to take a lighter amount of fuel in the first stops normally, but if he's going to go for that one stop, then he's going to have to take a full tank and see how it goes. It might be a case of he pits on the last lap, but he's not going to be doing one of those strategies where you're lapping essentially GT3 pace and trying to do a one stop. He's lapping leader pace.
Talvar's ahead of Neumeier. He's ahead of him by 1.5 seconds. So that is
Maybe
not...
Talvar took less fuel. I don't know.
No, they were stationary for 1/10 of a second difference. In the pit lane for 0.2 of a second difference. They were in there for nearest damn at the same length of time. It's just Talvar has managed to... I thought Talvar would have been delayed in all that traffic, but you called that one spot on there, James. He did that one brilliantly.
I'm just watching Neumeier. Maybe Neumeier's pit entrance being very compromised is what held him up.
Could be.
I don't really know. No, it looks. Oh no, it's because he had a lapped car as they were going into the pits. He had Jamie Smith. As they were slowing down for the pit line, he had someone in front of him. And I bet Jamie probably took it a bit more cautiously, Neumeier, because, I mean, no offence to Jamie, but he's in a lower class, and obviously he's not going to be one of those people that's going to probably extract all of the time out of the pit entrance. And so it just sort of held up Neumeier, a bit of hesitation there. And that's probably where Talvar's found his extra second or whatever.
Could well be. We can surmise about that one all day. As we're looking at Victor Matios still with pressure from Raimo Cooley, Merlin Cooper and Chris Yardley right behind him. But Andy Gorton's still going. He still hasn't brought that one in. If he's going to go for the one-stop, sure, he's got to come in now. He can't have that much more fuel.
Well, he's on lap 31. I mean, now he has to do 29 laps this time around.
But interestingly, Matios, Cooper and Yardley all seem to be doing exactly the same thing.
Perhaps Ford can do a one-stop.
Well, Cooper is in a BMW, so he's really pushing his luck.
I mean, yeah, he's really pushing. Somehow managed to pull it off.
In comes Gordon.
But that's
risky, but it's going to be.
Dove pitted on lap 30, so she's gonna, if she can just mirror the same stint again, get the same fuel usage, fuel mileage, she can also do a one stop. So
it's all the Fords.
It's going to be interesting.
It's all the Fords, basically.
Apart from Merlin.
Oh, Neumeyer's stuck behind someone. Neumeyer has got the 307 BMW. It's Mikhail Pari. Of course, Pari can't go anywhere. He couldn't realistically, or he couldn't safely have jumped out of the way. So that's held Neumeyer up badly. There's Andy Gorton coming out behind Rainer Talvar ahead of Neumeyer. That's gone horribly wrong for the Shizou Ford. And now Rainer Talvar is in the driving seat.
Well, the problem with Mikhail was he slowed to let Rainer through. And what happened was that he just had so little momentum that when it came to the next section of corners, he was going so slowly that Neumeyer essentially caught like a second on it, pretty much, and was just stuck because you can't get out of the way, because if you lift off or brake whatever to let them through, you're probably just going to end up brake checking them and running into them. And so the safest thing to do is just keep going and then let them through on the straight.
In comes Victor Matios and Chris Yardley. So they too are looking at the one-stop strategy in their respective Fords. The ever-present grin on the front of Chris Yardley's car.
Yardley is already a lap down, so he has to do one less lap on top of that. I think Yardley can easily make it to the end. He tried the one-stop back in Barcelona and had to put on the last lap.
He did.
But this time I think it should be safe. He won't have to be driving around at 3 seconds off the pace almost what he was doing in Barcelona. Should all be clear from here.
We will see, as that's a second's gap that Talvar has to Gorton. Now, is Neumeyer going to just sit in the tyre tracks of Gorton and hope that they can catch the BMW, or do you think Neumeyer is going to try and put the pressure on to get up into second?
I think it's race over for Neumeyer, if I'm being honest. I just... because he's on the same strategy as Talvar. That we can probably surmise. I doubt Talvar can go for the one stop, being in the BMW that was not pitting on the lap that he needed it to. He needs to go 31 laps, I think, in this stint if he wants to make it to the end. So, and Neumeyer needs to go 32. So those two just probably can't make it to the end. I don't foresee a way now that Gorton doesn't win this race. Apart from incidents, obviously, but on raw pace alone and strategy, Gorton's put himself in king of the hill position.
It's amazing stuff. It's just impossible to call. Absolutely.
It's one of those
impossible.
ones where you're sat in Neumeyer or Talvar's position and you go, what do I do?
Oh, that's Andreas Lutus in the 214 BMW. What's he done? Oh wow, he's dropped that completely on his own. That's Michael Edens that's gone through in that particular shot. There goes Broomfield and Dove back on track, 14th position. Oh dear, oh dear.
Once again, just another BMW driver getting caught out by those dips over the crest and trying to put the power down in the traction zone over the crest, and all that weight just doesn't get applied to the ground. It's kind of a weightless feeling almost as you're in the car, and that just means you have less grip, less contact. I'll try and not bore you with the physics, but yeah, that's just
well,
yeah,
gravity.
That's how it works.
Gravity is a thing, so weight transfer and momentum are all aspects of racing, even in the sim racing world. So that is what's going on there, and that front three is condensing again. So I'm not convinced that Andy Gorton's got it all his own way. He's still going to have to get past Talvar unless he just waits for Talvar to fall off the road.
Talvar has to pit, and we don't think Gorton does. And I think that's the key to this. And the problem with Talvar is he's going to be sitting there thinking, what can I do? It's one of the, because these drivers are, of course, their own strategists, and they'll be trying to think over things in their head. But I mean, if I was in their position, I would just be amazed, to be honest, that this is that you've been sort of almost cornered. I mean, well done to Andy Gorton, because he kind of just has to sit here wait. It's kind of a waiting game for him now, because so long as he's within 30 seconds, essentially, of Rayner, come lap 59, 58, whenever Rayner chooses to pit, he'll take the lead. And unfortunately, that's kind of how it is. However, he still looks like he's getting a bit racy, so I think he still wants to win it on track, but he kind of has an insurance card, and it'd be nice if he wins it on track rather than via strategy. But he's kind of backed everyone else into a corner, and he's played not as necessarily the most entertaining card, but he's played the smartest card.
A win's a win, quite frankly, and
he needs it because his championship rival is not here.
Yeah.
James Pinsker has not shown.
Indeed, he hasn't. As a reminder, not everybody has every track in the championship. This one being a bit less used than others. It isn't mandatory for our drivers to beat every single race that goes on. Oh, there's trouble for someone. Stefan Kamke's gone off. Oh no! In the very decorated Ford. Oh, he's just wandered off the road. It's another incident in that corner. And that's put him down to 28th. And unfortunately, Cohen Van Eyck's the only one behind him, nearly a minute behind him. There's Cohen there. He is in the Porsche. Oh, go on.
We got some just close lapping as they were going through Thunder Valley, turn 10 and 11. Victor Matty was trying to get out of the way of everybody, but it's just there is nowhere to let people through, and you end up in situations like this where Conor Ryan has lost a load of time to people like Chris Yardley and Marvin Sluman. But fortunately for Ryan, those people are not in his class. So he's not essentially losing point, but he's just losing track position and a possibility to maybe catch up to his fellow classmates.
Flashing the lights in the background, I think it was Stephen Broomfield. Yep, that's Stefan Kamke.
One thing we missed in the pit stops was Lawrenson managed to go from 7th to 5th. Bennett stayed in 6th, and Halliwell went to the back of that trio.
He did.
And it's down to 7th.
And those three have swapped round their pit stop times. Well, John Halliwell was in the pit lane a bit longer, so I don't think his stop went too well than the other two. Oh, has Reithmiller had trouble? Yeah, he's... he nearly came to a stop, but has got himself going. That's turn 6, is it? No, 5? Turn 5. I think that's where that incident just happened.
I'm gonna... yes.
That's slow on the crest left-hander.
Yeah.
Schiff and Mamano very close together on that back straight heading down towards turn 4. The Raptor BMW fending off the Tepper turn. Number 2.
Something is wrong with Rickmiller's Ferrari. He's bringing it into the pits, and I've watched him drive it round. It does not look happy. It was very sluggish.
Oh dear,
just trying to see if I could visually see anything wrong. It just didn't look good to drive.
Andy Gorton just making his Ford as big as he possibly can in the mirrors of the BMW. To give themselves a tiny bit of breathing space from Michael Neumeier, but I doubt that's going to stay there too long. Yeah, I think you're right. I think Andy Gordon is not just going to rely on the strategy. He wants to get past that BMW when he can. And of course, we're thinking that the BMW is either going to have to fuel save like a maniac, or he's going to have to come in again. Surely he's going to go for fuel saving, surely.
I think that is what Rayner has resorted to. He's resorted to going for that, try and get the one stop, try and get the fuel save. But Gorton, who doesn't need to fuel save that much, he only needs to go as far as Rayner did on the last stop, and he's in a more fuel efficient car. So Gorton is just sort of thinking, well, you can be lifting and coasting all you want, but I'm going to get past at some point because you're going so slowly. I mean, they're not lapping too far off the pace, but they're lapping sort of 8/10 off what they were at the start, and obviously they're fat full of fuel and worn tyres, so they're not going too slowly, but I just feel like Rayner is probably holding a bit back to try and eke out the one stop.
Romano and Schiff still fighting for 18th position.
And they're about to get some leaders not too far away. They've only got one lap car between them and the leaders, but there is a bit of a gap at the moment because you've got Lodato and then about 7 seconds the leaders have before they get a big load of more traffic.
That's going to shake up the order up front somewhat.
And you're going to get into the position where we've got lapped cars lapping cars who are lapping other cars, if that makes sense, because you've got people on 3 different laps.
Yeah.
And so people trying to let other cars through whilst also letting...
Saradav, inside move on Stephen Broomfield. Oh, sorry to cut you off there, James. Sarah's trying to make a move for 12th. Well defended from Stephen Brimfield. Sarah had the speed but couldn't quite get the move done. Coming through turns 4 and 5.
Right idea from Sarah, get the inside line. It's the only real way to get through at that corner. The outside doesn't tend to work with the lunge through turn 4, but if you don't have a good portion of your car alongside, the guy that was in front is going to stay around the outside and have that inside for turn 5. And with the off-camber nature, it just means that you have to get the move done, or it won't happen in turn 5.
Oh, Schiff and Mamano, they were side by side. Let's have a look at that again. That is into turn 4 as well, the BMWs. And that's how it's done. Schiff managed to get alongside. Ooh, a bit of a lock-up there from Mamano as well to help proceedings along. And that is 18th position to Philip Schiff. Briefly looked at the squabble for 9th position with Conor Ryan and Tom Hooper. Right ahead of them is Marvin Sleeman. Just behind them is Michael Edens. So a great... Well, actually, Michael was quite a bit quicker than the pack ahead of him, so he's really going to get involved. He carries on at that kind of pace in the next few laps. But again, just looking at the gap up front, it's just pressure, all the pressure from Andy Gorton. Where's he going to use it?
Trying to essentially rip the gearbox out of Renault Talbot with how close to getting. You can almost get out and touch that rear bumper and sort of get him out of the way with his own hands from the cockpit. But it's just, like I said, you have to go for the move in turn 4. But Talbot's just positioning his car in a way that just allows him to get off turn 2 well enough. As you see there, he just got a good enough launch. Just managed to pull a few car lengths on the exit, and that just means that Gorton has to wait longer before he can even think about the lunge. And yeah, Talbot just didn't even have to defend that, and they were pretty much nose to tail going through turn 2, and the Ford is supposed to be faster on the straights, so...
Yeah, but how much of this is just making sure they got enough fuel in the tank?
Well, I think Talbot is, but Gorton has to go 2 laps less than he did last stint.
Yeah, but Neumeyer's not as comfortable, though. I reckon that's why Neumeyer's falling off.
Yeah, he's... Unfortunately for Michael, he is in a very tricky situation, because Talvar's got to go 1 less lap than him, and we already are questioning whether he can... Neumeyer's got to go longer than Gorton did last stint, and he's nowhere near as close to the back of the car in front as Neumeyer was, so he won't be getting as much slipstream.
Also, whilst all the pit stops and flurry is going on, the Pro-Am lead changed to Marvin Sluman. There he is in 8th position in the Porsche with Conor Ryan all over his boot. It was Sarah Dove for a while until she fell off the road. She's about 60 seconds behind this battle. There she is with Stephen Brimfield already ahead of her. She is, 4th in class now. And struggling to get past Stephen Brimfield. There is Andreas Lutus on her tail. Michael Edens is still trying to work his way through the traffic. He was quite a bit quicker than the pack ahead of him, but now he's in the pack. And he's going to have the same trouble as pretty much everybody else has of finding that additional pace. And Neumeyer is now a second off the fighting 2 up front. Which again, if Neumeyer is fuel saving, Talvar is going too quick.
Yeah, I didn't see, when I was riding on board with the front 2, I didn't hear much lifting, but that was mainly because I was riding on board with Gorton. But I would have thought that if he wasn't lifting, Talvar would get very close in front of him.
Marvin Sluman! Yeah. Sorry again. You just spotted Marvin Sluman and Tom Hooper. That's for the Pro-Am lead. That's why they're determined to try and resolve that one. Well, I would imagine Marvin's trying to hang on to it. But no, that's gone to Tom Hooper. That was some great side-by-side stuff. Michael Edens right there wanting to get past them because, again, he's in the Pro category whilst the Pro-Am lead is being fought out right ahead of him. That was a very well driven from Tom and Marvin.
Well, it was very interesting because Marvin was under attack from Ryan. And it looked like he just wanted to let Conor Ryan go because, of course, they're not in the same class. And then he just let them go too much that Tom Hooper was able to sort of slide down the inside of turn 4 and managed to hold it around the outside of 5. But, yeah, you can get into that Pro-Am lead position. And very opportunistic, but sometimes that's what you've got to do, especially tracks like this. Second you see all you have to step through it.
Very well done. Tom Hooper. So that's Marvin Sluman in second. And still Andy Gorton maintaining the pressure on Rainer Talvar as Neumeier doing what he can to try and remain a second behind them, but I think he's just going to continue to fall. I mean, it must be marginal for Andy Gorton as well.
I think Andy needs a bit of fuel saving, but because of he did an excellent job in the first stint. He went joint furthest as everybody else. He did 31 lap, which is 2 more than he needs to do in this stint, because we've still got another pit stop to go, and it's already saying that we're going to get 60 laps. So it's likely to be 60 unless we have a sudden, I don't know, track temperature eruption as Talvar runs very deep into turn 12 onto the marbles, and that gives Gorton the lead on track.
Yeah.
But Talvar is tucked into the slipstream as they go down the main straight, or the back straight even, but it's the main overtaking opportunity. But Gorton covers the inside line, and Talvar has no really other option than to stick behind, but he's so much faster through the low speed and got so close to rear-ending Gorton as they went through turn 4 and 5. But Talvar's back where he was for the entirety of the first stint, and is back into second position, staring at the back of the fourth.
Oh, Jamie Smith! Oh, crikey, that was close. That was Victor Matios and Chris Lardley right behind him. They've swapped round as Victor had to take to the grass to avoid slamming into the back of Jamie there. Yeah, but now what's Rainer going to do? It's that ahead of them is Daniele Mimano. Of course, he can't get out of the way at the moment. He should now be able to pull over the inside line, and through they go. I wouldn't have done an awful lot. It would have annoyed Andy, maybe put him off his rhythm a little bit. It wouldn't have really cost him any significant time. And Rainer is still keeping his foot now to the floor. That's Michael Neumeier flashing his lights. Oh dear, you should have got out of that a bit more, BMW. That won't have pleased Neumeier much. But he managed to get through. Yeah, a little clumsy from Romano, but on they go. That's a second stop for Marvin Sluman.
I think what happened with Neumeier was because he's trying to save fuel. There was a big lift into turn 2, and that just caught off guard Daniele Romano, because he was just expecting Neumeier to hit the normal braking point and sail past it. But because of the lift and coast, he didn't actually quite catch up. Much
shorter stop from Marvin, as you would expect for the second one. And that's Jamie Smith as well, who's brought his car in. A very short stop for Jamie Smith. That's a 3-way fight there for Broomfield, Dove and Lutus. That is for second in the Pro-Ams currently. The Pro-Am leader now Tom Hooper, following Marvin's pit stop. But, that will of course change as the pit stops filter through. We've got just under 21 minutes remaining of this race. It's been fascinating to see this race unfold here at Mid-Ohio.
The second we got to the pit stop window, and it was like, can these guys do one stop? I think that was kind of the moment where we realised that there was a lot more to this race than we previously imagined. We were just kind of thinking, it'd be another 2-stop race where not really much happens in terms of strategy, but no, were we wrong?
Philip Schiff doing a good job staying out of the leader's way as they all come through. Who's our AM leader at the moment? It's Alessandro Bondagovi, who's a little bit up the road, I think, from the battle we've just seen. The Raptor BMW leads the AM class by, well, I actually don't know, because the rest of the field is a lap behind him. It's roughly 6 seconds, I think, between himself and Daniele Mamano. There's a Raptor racing team leading the way in the AMs. Luca Lodato in third. Yep, so Raptor 1, 2, 3 in the AM class. As we know, Andy Gorton has now got himself... oh dear, Rainer has not had a good exit from those last few turns. Has got himself about 8 tenths or so between himself and Andy Gorton. 2 seconds back to Neumeier.
Yeah, Rainer did not get a good exit out of 12. Gorton got the power down just so much better. Pulled away from Talvar, pulled many car lengths out. Well, he's lapped almost half a second quicker than Talvar last lap, and just kind of streaking off into the distance, off into the sunset. You could say, with the with the appearance of the world outside now on track. and he's just, yeah, running away. We're not careful in the world, and he's just thinking about the 25 points now, probably, that he's going to pick up at the moment.
Dan Alpol has just overtaken Philip Schiff for 18th position. It's using that main opportunity down into turn 4 to make that move stick. There is Tom Hooper, our Pro-Am leader, with Conor Ryan directly ahead. Michael Eden's behind. Tom Hooper probably just going to sit in the tyre tracks of the Radicals number 143.
Montegorvi trying his hardest to help out Talvar there, really. They were going through the 11-12 section, and Gorton was sort of stuck 3 tenths behind, which has given Talvar a little bit of an opportunity. He's gained a little bit on that lap because of this. He gained a tenth on Gorton, puts him only 7 tenths behind, keeps him in the slipstream, keeps him within a chance. And I think Talvar needs that slipstream if he wants to get the one stop to work. I think if he loses that, then the lifting coast that he needs would just not be possible. And so he needs to try his hardest to not fall out of the slipstream, but also lap slow enough that he's lifting and coasting to save enough fuel. But a fine balance, and it's going to be the key to whether he ends up on the podium or whether he ends up much further down.
Is that a third? I think that's a third pit stop for Sebastian Riethmann in the Ferrari.
He was not having a fun time of thing.
No.
Like I said, I couldn't really see anything visually wrong with his car, but when he was driving it just looked sluggish. It was almost as if someone had just added like an extra ton of weight to it, and it just didn't look happy. And well, our only Ferrari is not having a good day.
No, that's a shame, and he's been in there for a minute now, so it's not likely we'll see Sebastian again this race. That's a great shame. But up front, Andy Gorton continues to lead the way. He's holding on to about 8 tenths, or was at one point. It's now down to about half a second, although Gorton was a tenth quicker than Talvar last time around. Neumeier. Go on.
I can see that why Riethmann pulled his car into pits this time. The front right-hand side of his car was heavily banged up this time around.
Oh dear.
Yeah. I also don't see a driver in his car anymore, so he might not be coming in.
That's a shame.
Oh no, he has put a driver back in. I think he will be coming back. Just as I said that, he just reappeared in his car and is looking to go back out onto the track, I guess, when his repairs are done.
Well, good on him for continue away. There's Conor Ryan leading that three-way battle between himself, Tom Hooper and Michael Edens. Tom Hooper not in the same class, so Tom's just basically along for the ride. They can overtake. They are allowed to battle each other, even though they're not in the same class, but it doesn't necessarily benefit them too much. Michael Edens would probably want Tom to get out of the way.
Well, this is the thing, is that Michael will want to battle Tom to get past him, and Conor will want to battle Tom to stay in front of him.
Yeah.
Because he wants the car in between. And just to say that, Tom keeps his defence going. Edens looked down the inside into 4 and into 6, but you can't really send it into 6 unless you're alongside beforehand. So there was not really much of a move. I think it was more just to try and scare Tom off the road more than anything, or even see the apex, because some of the corners around here can be quite blind with all the elevation, and sometimes you just need to be able to see, because the BMW is such a big car as well, let's not forget, that it can be quite hard to see around it. Oh no, Riethmiller did not come back out on track.
No, I just saw that. Sebastian Riethmiller has called it a day. We've only lost 3. I know we only started with 31, but we've only lost 3. That's a far better attrition rate than we normally see.
Yeah, Riethmiller did come back on track, but clearly his car was not happy, and he just pulled off and decided not to continue trundling around in a car that was a bit broken.
Fair play, taking the safer option. As we see Stephen Broomfield with Sarah Dove and Andreas Lutus. That is a battle for second in the Pro-Ams. Tom Hooper currently leads that, but Marvin Sluman, the former Pro-Am leader, has had a second pit stop. Oh, he's the only one. Oh, beg your pardon. Who's that? That's Jamie Smith. Has been through the pits twice. He hasn't had a particularly good run in this track. Conor Ryan has not been able to break away from Tom Hooper at all. And sadly for Michael, he hasn't been able to get past the Pro-Am leader either. And I'm not sure the pit stops are going to really go their way. Michael's tyres are... Well, Michael's stop was 3 laps older than the 2 ahead of him. So we'll see if the pit stops help him any. But now Andy Gorton's decided to really get on with it. Look at the gap between himself and Talvar. Or Talvar's decided now is the time for him to fuel save.
I think Talvar's just gone into race conservation mode. I think he's decided that he can't fight Gorton. I think Gorton's managed to just... He's pulled off just such a brilliant strategy that it's kind of just put everyone else in the situation of you've got to decide what you're going to do. I've made a really good call here, and it's now on you as to whether you want to waste your fuel fighting me or save your fuel to do the one stop and give up the win. And it's one of those ones where the drivers will be driving around and will probably not be happy about it right now, but will be taking note for any opportunity like this in the future where there was perhaps a possibility of a one stop based off fuel usage, but they thought, there's probably nowhere I can fuel save enough. And then it turns out that there is places where you can fuel save enough and get the one stop done without having to lose time. But yeah, I think Reina just wants to conserve the podium, try and get some points because he has missed 3 races. I think it's 3, might be 2, because the break week is messing with trying to count the races that we've done, but I think it's 3. That he didn't score anything in, obviously, and he just needs to try and get 18 at least for finishing 2nd, rather than, I don't know, 10 or 8 for finishing 5th or 6th. Or even worse, not even scoring any point.
That's the thing, isn't it? Oh, that's another...
And especially at a race where there's no one else here, really.
And Edens is in. Michael Edens is fed up with staring at the back of Tom Hooper's car, and he has brought his car in for his 2nd stop. Andy Gordon, of course, continuing along the way. That is Ryan McGoody. He's just put a lap on. Your prediction of the top 10 being a lap down is not proving too far wrong.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes. I mean, obviously, depends who's doing 1 stops and 2 stops. But, yeah, because of... I mean, we've had times this season where we've got very close to it on longer tracks, and so on a short track like this, there is the possibility that you could get a top 10 people in the top 10 getting that. And so, yeah, it's just one of the nature of things. Obviously, we have about 10 pro drivers, so getting a lot of the higher end drivers in the top 10 is not as prominent here as well, so there's going to be a larger field spread. Having said that, there is obviously around that top 10 mark, Michael Eden, Stephen, Michael's time is there because he pitted, but Stephen, Sarah, Lutus all in a train here, and I think that's just lap traffic in front of them, but they're not too far away from Tom Hooper either, so there is a close-knit battle in the class itself, but between the classes they seem a lot more spread out here. We have a lot of pro drivers up at the front, bar Hooper. The top 10 is all pro drivers, and then you've got a lot of pro-abs and a lot of that. And I think that's just the nature of the difficulty of this track, because a lot of people haven't driven it, obviously, and I think that's the difference between our classes of drivers, is the ability to adapt to something like this, a new experience in a track that you've probably not driven too much of, whereas something like Spa, let's say, a lot of our drivers will be very versed in Spa. They'll know it off by heart, and so there won't be much difference between the drivers, but here it kind of shows the levels of talent. But that's why we have the class structure. It allows for racing between everybody, and it allows you to show up and have a good race with people and not necessarily feel left out. And I think that's the important thing. It's not really necessarily about how fast you are, it's about having fun racing people. That's why I do the F3 League. If you go into the F3 League hoping to get good results consistently, the amount of incidents is kind of not there. You just kind of have to go in there for the fun of it. Have a bit of fun, go racing, try not to take it too seriously, but obviously seriously enough that you don't end up ruining it for other people.
Fair play, wise words indeed. Blair Mann's now on the back of Michael Neumeier. Now, are we assuming that Blair's going to pit again?
When Blair pitted on lap 29, that's close. Because he is in a BMW, and trying to get a BMW to go 31 laps when only Fords could do it before, it's going to be very close. I think that's the thing with a lot of these drivers that didn't pit on lap 30. It's going to be very close for them. Ford drivers, if they pitted on lap 29, Neumeier, who pitted on lap 28, is going to be very close. But Ford drivers who pitted on lap 29, if there were any, maybe Yeah, Alex Schmidt pitted on that 29, so he might be able to push it. But
It's going to be hard work, though.
everyone else, it's going to be hard for a lot of them. And I think it's one of those ones where people like Gorton, when they went the extra couple of laps, people probably went, okay, what can I get a one-stop now? I've kind of backed myself into a corner and I need to get a one-stop. Can I get a one-stop? Please, fuel economy gods.
That's the problem, isn't it? Because you have to commit to that very, very early.
Yeah, and that's the difference.
Yeah.
You're trying to turn it around when you've already spent half the race not trying that strategy.
Yeah, very difficult then to jump ship. Player man has not yet got past Neumeier. This will be an ideal opportunity for him to do so. He's not gaining on the Ford though.
Neumeier's so slowly. He has to be trying.
Oh,
that's risky. Oh, they make big contact.
Now Neumeier lifted off much earlier than I think Blair Man was expecting. And then they just got very, very clumsy into turn 4.
Ooh, what happened was, so as they were going toward into the braking zone, there was a wiggle from Neumeier, and I don't know whether that was oversteer from the brakes or a late defence, but that threw off Man, and I don't think you can really put too much blame on Blair because he had shown his intent, and then Neumeier did a bit of a wiggle, and that kind of just closed the line for Blair a bit more, and that kind of is what solidified the idea of contact.
Philip Schiff has had a bit of a mare down at turn 5. Lost a whole bucket load of time. It's down to 21st position. And yeah, the field has finally spread out. It's taken.
I think that's the fuel saving.
Yeah, totally.
That's kind of everyone just going, let's not battle. Can we please just spread out and leave our fuel tanks to themselves?
Yeah, Luca Lodato's brought his car in, revving the Porsche and just dumped the clutch. Alex Bennett and Alfie Lawrenson are pretty close together in 5th position. This is going to be the thing, who has managed to fuel save properly or who's going to be caught out with the last lap splash and dash. Andres Lutis is in.
I think that's also another good point, is that if you have committed to this strategy but it doesn't work out, you've wasted a second a lap almost in some cases, where you could have been pushing a bit more, maybe gain a 15-20 second by pushing harder, and instead of committing. And that's what you kind of have to weigh up, because it's one of those strategies that if it pulls off, you've gained maybe 10-15 seconds, but if you don't pull it off, and you've lost 10-15 seconds, and you have to make it work. But I think what's really key to the fact that Gorton has now just done like his first 1 minute 20, whereas everyone else has been lapping in that region for a while, and it was only a 20.009. So he's just so much faster because he doesn't have to back off. Having said that, Alvar and Blair Man did match him last time around.
Bennett's in.
Alex has committed to the 2 then.
Very much so, but then in the Porsche, I'm not sure he really had a choice.
Well, no, and he didn't really have anyone around him to help him. I think that was the key.
So, Alex Bennett, let's see where he falls to. If we're looking at Sarah Dove, Stephen Brunfield's just come in. That's who she's been chasing for quite some time. That puts Sarah into 2nd in class. Mikael Pari comes in the BMW. It's going to be in the last 5.5 minutes. Everybody is staring at their fuel gauge.
Yeah, it's going to be in the red for a lot of drivers. They're going to have fuel warning lights, alarms, everything's going to be going off. It's going to be telling you, you've got a box, and some of them will be saying, okay, fine, I'll box, and some of them will be saying, nope, I will make it. I will get to the end. I will not pit.
If I have to get out and push, I will make it. Even though we mentioned earlier that the incident limit really isn't a thing, Cohen Van Eyck still managed to rack up 19 on the incident count.
Well, we have seen Cohen run off the road a couple of times, and his rear wing is also not in a great shape.
Stephen Brunfield's had an incident. Oh, wow, did that let go down at turn 2. But he managed to find the one bit of tarmac in between. Look at this. Let's just go on the chopper cams.
It's the fact that, like, as he gets off the brakes there and the car just starts reversing properly and stops spinning, it decides, I'm going to escape down. I'm going to reverse down this escape road.
Look at that.
You managed to park me in.
That is brilliant precision sliding from Stephen Brumfield.
That is precision parking. Right there.
Absolutely brilliant stuff. A few more pitters have come in. Connor Ryan. Oh, that's
a spinner.
it's Andreas Lutus. Oh, again, that's down at 9, isn't it?
Yeah, 9 on the traction on the dip.
So many people have been caught out there. A few more people.
Talvar boxed his. Talvar has pitted.
Well, rather saw that coming, didn't we?
Well, he was definitely fuel saving, but he clearly couldn't make it far enough. And I think he's committed. He's just said, "I'm going to go for a 3-lap splash and dash, and I'm not going to risk it."
It's fair enough, but that's going to put him at least down to 4 seconds. He was stationary for. Where's Alfred Lawrence?
I think that's what's happened though. I think he's seen the gap that they've actually pulled out at the front, and he's gone, I mean, I can still finish 4th. I think there was one point in this race, especially with like Bennett, who's now pitted, and all of that going on. I think he's now realised that there is an opportunity just to get 4th. And to be honest, I'm pretty sure Michael will be in soon. So that's still a podium it's still a podium if it pulls off. And it could be risking for 2nd and running out of fuel, or getting 3rd and getting home safely. And that's only if Blair doesn't go to the end, and Blair still won't.
Yeah, that was going to be the next thing. Will Blair Mann in the BMW, does he have enough in the tank to last another 3-ish minutes?
It's going very hard, and that is the sort of the indicator that he might not do. He's got to make 2 more laps after this, basically.
It's going to be...
Unless iRacing is funny. If iRacing is funny and decides not to give Andy Gorton the white flag this time around,
and we've seen that before.
Well,
we have seen that before, as John Halliwell, I think Sarah Dove very much let John go there. They're not in the same category. Sarah leads the Pro-Ams by 10 seconds now, and if she can hang on and not need to pit again, she's pulled off the one stop. Those that I suspect are... I imagine the Fords are now easy for me to identify, i.e. all the one-stoppers on the board.
Well, we still have... I don't know if we... Well, we obviously have the guys up front. Blair. Alfie has blocked... No, he hasn't blocked. Alfie has stayed out. So Alfie's looking to try and get the one stop.
Schiff has come in, so he couldn't make it. They literally only have 2 laps to go as well.
Gorton probably won't be praying. I think Gorton's safe.
Yeah, he's fine.
Everyone else is going to be like, please, Andy, get to the white flag this lap. Because if they do, if he doesn't, I think Andy's fine, but I don't think everyone else will be.
And that is the thing, isn't it? Because drivers have been caught out by that before, where they've been following their spotter that says you've got this many laps to go, and that the white flag comes out a lap later than they were expecting. It has happened before. And equally, your top 10 are being a lap down prediction. It's so nearly true, because everyone up to 12th is lapped. Connor Ryan is the last on the lead lap, and he is a minute behind Andy Gorton. I'm not entirely sure Andy's too worried about that, as that's
no
flash of light.
I was close. I mean, I had to pick a number between essentially 2 and 31 as to who would be at least a lap down.
And you were so close. Yeah, you were so close to it. But yeah, Andy Gorton now leads Blair Mann by 13 seconds. But Blair has just got to be so delicate with that throttle. And Neumeier is really fuel saving. He's such a long way off the pace, but he's still looking good to bring that car home in 3rd position. Talvar, he's not going to gain 8 seconds in a couple of laps, unfortunately, no matter how hard he pushes.
We have completed 80 minutes.
We have indeed.
So we have completed 1 hour 20, and Andy was approaching turn 12. So this is the end.
Yeah, this is the checkered flag. Your winner here in Mid-Ohio is Andy Gorton. The checkered flag awaits our drivers, and I bet they're very happy about it. Blair Mann up into 2nd in the BMW. I bet he's going to be ecstatic about that. Neumeier hangs on to 3rd position. Rainer Talvar. Oh, how gutted is he that he had to pit a few laps ago, but he's going to cross the line in 4th. Alfie Lawrenson, that's not car pressing him for position. That's just someone in a hurry to get home. Right behind him, Alfred Norrison takes 5th position. Alex Bennett, another 20 seconds down the road, is going to take 6th. The winner of the Pro-Ams is actually going to be Sarah Dove. She's played the strategy brilliantly well in the Ford. She's going to take the win in the Pro-Ams by about nearly 10 seconds indeed, from Tom Hooper. She's nearly pushing John Halliwell home over the line. There's John. There's Sarah Dove, our Pro-Am winner. And there is Tom Hooper with Michael Edens right behind him. And the last man across the line on the lead lap is going to be Connor Ryan in 11th position. Everyone else is a lap down and therefore class as finished. And it was Alessandro Pontecorvi that took the AM win in the end. Raimo Kudi was second and Daniel Mamano was third in class. So here are the results then before any steward's intervention. It is Andy Gorton taking the win. Then it is Mann, Neumeier, Talvar, Lawrenson, Bennett, Halliwell. Dove takes the Pro-Am win. Hooper, Edens, Ryan, Schmidt, Brumfield, Sluman, Lutus, Pontecorvi with the AM win. Alpol, Cooley, Mamano, Cooper, Lodato, Yardley, Schiff, Matios, and where do we see, who didn't see the flag? That was pretty. Oh, Stefan Kamke did actually return to track after being in the pits for 11.5 minutes. At the tail end of the field was Parry, Smith, Van Eyck, Kamke, Reithmiller, Dancy, and Boucher. Holy moly, that was pretty amazing, quite frankly.
I think that was a lot better than we initially expected. I think we expected there to be a lot of mistakes, and there were. We saw a lot of people off in the grass and the gravel and whatever. But the second we got to that pit stop phase, and we thought, oh, could there be some one stops going on? I think it just blew the entire race wide open, and we had absolutely no idea who was going to be able to make it, who wasn't, until we got to that final lap. We didn't even know if it was going to be the final lap.
No, indeed. And it was only the final.
That's how close it was.
It was only the final lap by 10, 15 seconds.
Yeah,
it really wasn't much.
Was so close.
And Andy Gorton, towards the end, it looked comfortable towards the end, but I wonder whether it was though.
Well, we'll have to. Yeah, I mean, it was just so. I'm just trying to think it all over in my head at the moment. Yeah, the fact is that because it was such an unknown race, it's not happened before. We had no idea what was actually going to happen.
Indeed.
And it's caught both us and the drivers off guard, and I think that was the key. It was the fact that some drivers didn't even realise they could do a one-stop, so when other drivers went for it, it caught them off guard, and they were sort of on the back foot and had to do what they could. And I think that's great, because sometimes you don't get the best racing out on track, but you get enjoyment from racing in other ways, and this was one of those ways where there's just mystery because of the brains behind the strategies know more than you do.
Well, let's have a chat to some of our drivers. A few of them have made themselves available. Let's have a chat to our podium or third place podium finisher in the Pro-Ams. That is Alex Smits.
G'day.
Hello, Alex. How was that one for you?
Decent, I guess. I made a one-stop work.
You did? Absolutely did. Was that in the intention from the start, or was that a case of, okay, other people are trying it as well?
Well, it was more the case of my teammate running a little bit out of talent and spinning me, and then just pretty late in the seconds, and I was like, I could maybe make it work with one stop, so... yeah.
Alright, so you managed to adapt your strategy to jump onto the one stop. That's brave.
I mean, yeah, it was pretty tough to do, but I mean, I think with Ford it's possible, and with a lot of lifting coasting, so...
Absolutely. So how did you find Mid-Ohio as a whole?
I think it is... Yeah, I mean, it's tough for overtaking, obviously, but I think in general it's a fairly decent multi-class track. In IMSA it's also pretty good, because it's like 2 hour and 40-minute races there as well, and they're also like really exciting, so yeah.
Awesome. Any questions, James?
So next week, obviously, we're going to Sonoma. Obviously, probably one of those ones that like this, where we're not going to get as many attendances. First off, will you be attending? And second of all, if you are, what are your opinions on Sonoma?
So yeah, first of all, I should be attending. I mean, Rick, who was not driving today, helped me with my PC issues that I had. So big thank to him. And yeah, I mean, personally, I really like Sonoma. I think it's a really decent track, and also shaking things up because it's also in the NASCAR Cup Series, pretty popular track. So yeah, really looking forward to that one.
Awesome. Well, good luck for that, and we will hopefully speak to you again. Thank you very much, Alex Smith.
Cheers.
Who should we chat to next, James?
Shall we speak to our Pro-Am winner, Sarah Dove?
Yes, we will certainly grab over car number 200, the Ford of Sarah Dove. Hello.
Hello.
You had a bit more fun out there this week, didn't you?
Yeah. A bit better, yeah.
Talk us through it from your side.
Well, I was kind of surprised with the qualifying. On my last lap, came onto it thinking like, oh, I can maybe get like 4 tenths because I'd only done a 20 flat, and then I kind of like I didn't really look at the delta much, and then came up to the finish line and I was 9 tenths up, so that was a bit of a shock.
I can imagine. Again, you managed to make the one-stop work. Was that the intention from the start, or did you kind of end up just doing it?
Pretty much, yeah. The start of the race was a bit difficult for that because I kind of lost the slipstream and then was sitting by myself. And then I came into turn 1 and put the tires on the grass on entry, did a drift all the way through the corner. And then I lost like 7 positions in that one corner from that half spin.
We saw that one, I'm afraid.
So,
yes.
Yeah, so I kind of just like got settled in, didn't like sort of reset everything, and went into like just a really smooth driving mode. Which I'm apparently good at, so that's good.
I'll say. I mean, that really did pay off very well for you. So, excellent job. Well done to you. Any questions, James?
No, I think you really sort of answered all my questions there anyway. So, no, well done on the win. Good job on that. And yeah, look forward to seeing you back on track again next week.
What is track next week?
Sonoma.
Well, next week is Sonoma.
That'll be fun.
Awesome stuff. Well, good luck for that and for the remainder of the season. Thank you very much, Sarah Dove.
Thank you.
I've driven Sonoma in other sims and I do quite like it, but again, it's one of these really unforgiving tracks.
It's one that I'm not too familiar with, other than having watched it on the TV. But I've not really driven it too much. But I will give it a go beforehand. It's just to get myself acclimatized.
It has got some tracks, some corners rather, that very much look like they would leave your stomach behind.
I noticed that. Yeah, when I was watching the TV, there was a lot of, especially at the start of the lap, there's a lot of hill climbing. I seem to remember.
Yes. Finally, the last driver made themselves available is Mr. Kamke.
Hello.
Hello, Stefan. Didn't quite go your way today.
No, but it was a good experience. It was a lot more at ease with the car than I was last round. So that went.
Good.
Joining halfway through the season as a reserve. I mean, this is very much a learning season for me. I have no ambitions whatsoever.
Fair enough. What was your thoughts coming into Mid-Ohio? It's not such a well-known track. Was it one you were looking forward to?
Well, I bought it, and then on Tuesday I started learning it, and then I was thinking, what the hell is this? But it grew on me during the week, and I actually think this, without the fuel-saving strategy thing, this would have been a really, really exciting race on all up and down.
It was certainly exciting enough for us to try and figure out what was going to happen, but James got it absolutely spot on, I must say. Any questions from you, James?
Not other than what are your opinions on next week's track? It's Sonoma. Have you raced there before? Do you enjoy it? If you have, if not, yeah, what do you think?
I think I raced that twice or something, and then I know it from previous games. And I think it's a massively underrated track. I think it will be really, really good.
Awesome stuff. Well, good luck for that and for the remainder of the season. Of course, we realise you were reserved, but we do look forward to seeing you. And good luck for your future endeavours. Thank you very much, Stefan Kamke.
Thank you.
And that is going to be it for this evening. Thank you very much to those that have been with us throughout the stream. A great pleasure to have you on board. Thank you very much, James, for keeping me on the straight and narrow. It's a difficult job and you bear the burden well. And it's good fun to have you in the box, good sir.
Always good fun. Hopefully I don't have to do as much thinking next time around to try and work out what everyone's doing. Hopefully it'll be a bit simpler next.
I should imagine so. Thank you very much to our sponsors. Without you guys, AOR would not continue to grow. Thank you very much to our drivers for putting on an excellent show. And as James has mentioned, we are at Sonoma next week, but there's plenty of racing going on in between then and now. So do check up with us then. Until then, thank you very much and good night.